thank you so much for joining me on another episode of Why I Love Flagler County, your local podcast spotlighting local businesses and local residents on what they love about being a part of Flagler County. So today I'm really excited to have my guest, Miss Kathleen, with us today. Kathleen, thank you so much for the time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Well, I don't know if I specifically remember when I met Kathleen, but Kathleen and I have seen each other at all of these various events over the past few months, and she has an amazing energy with her. Like I always know when I see Kathleen and I talk to her, my day is made. It's that's it. That's what I needed. She's such a great person to know. So I'll let her talk a little bit about what she does. But first, why don't we kick it off a little bit easy and you just tell me a little bit about your journey coming here to Flagler, coming here to Palm Coast.
Sure. In 2018, I arrived here in Flagler County because my mom actually lived in Palm Coast for 20 something years.
Wow.
And it was time, she needed my help and assistance. So I decided to leave everything behind from New York and come here to Flagler County. And I have been here now for almost 6 years and I'm loving every bit of it. It's been a journey. But it's been a good journey and it's a learning thing. You're always learning new things. I love the weather here. I don't miss the snow and the ice. And I always worked in healthcare, so I've always had to travel in it. So this is a pleasure being in Flagler County where I don't have to worry about the snow and the ice and everything to travel with.
I know. I was sharing that with my parents as well. We used to live in Michigan, so I completely
Sure.
understand. And I never had a car of my for myself up in Michigan. But when we moved down here, I got my own car. And my dad's like, "Oh, how have you adjusted? Like this is about a year and a half of us moving here." And he's like, "How have you adjusted?" And I'm like, I go to all of these events, and I never have to think about coming out 10 minutes earlier to defrost my car. I never have to worry about like, is there ice? Do I have to brake? All these things. It's
So
not a
true.
worry. I'm like, I don't know if I could imagine like having to worry about these things when I hop out of the car to go to, like PWFC, Professional Women of Flagler County or anything. I don't know if I could fathom that because I'm like, yeah, it's good. We have some rain, we have some weather warnings today, but like it's not as, consistent, I would say, right? You don't have the hurricanes going on for 9,000 days, as you do
Right.
up north with the snow. It's there forever.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, so you came here and to help your mom out, which is amazing, and I completely understand, which is a perfect segment into talking a little bit about HomeInstead. So why don't you tell a little bit about what HomeInstead is in case anyone isn't fully aware?
Of course. So HomeInstead is a private home care agency and it is family owned. We do have 6 franchises. There's Jacksonville, St. Augustine, and I do the Palm Coast Flagler County area. And there's also Hilton Head, South Carolina, and we have Savannah, Georgia as well. What I love about HomeInstead, and I don't think people really know about what's the differences between these home care agencies? With HomeInstead, what is great about them is that our caregivers are our own employees, meaning we train them, we insure them, we bond them. And this way, when they come into someone's home, if anything should happen, they get workman's comp, or if they're just not doing what they're supposed to be doing, or if they're doing a great job, we can actually nourish those caregivers. We know them personally. And that's why I feel that HomeInstead really needs to promote that because the other crazy thing is when I was up in New York, I actually used HomeInstead for my mom. And this is going back years ago. Something happened to my mom and I was frantic. It was 5 o'clock in the evening. I'm still at work. And my mom goes, I cannot get up from here, Kathleen, and I don't know what to do. And she lived alone. And I called HomeInstead and they came right away. They were with her for 24/7, and it was a great experience. So it's very personal to me. And I find it ironic that now I'm actually working for them. So it's a very personal story for me. And I really do love working for this company. I treat it like it's my own business. And we do help older adults live better, whether that be in their home or, in assisted livings or even transitioning to memory care places. I just love the business. I love that it's family owned. And, there's a lot to be said about the community and needing help and things of that nature, especially in Flagler County. I think people still don't know. And that's why I love going to these networking events and sharing it because it's important. It's important to have knowledge is powerful and we should really get the word out to everybody.
Definitely. And I love hearing those stories. It's not all the time you hear them, but it's so touching when you hear them of someone who was a client of the business and then they loved their experience so much they said, I want to be a part of that change. I want to be a part
Mhm.
of that really personal experience. And I mean, I know how much it is a lot. It's a lot of care and it's a lot of trust to be able to give to someone to take care of someone that close to your family. I lived with my grandma my whole life. And as she was getting older, there was a lot of care needed. And it was hard for anyone in Michigan, our family, to trust her with anyone else. We mostly had family do it, but it's all also a lot of work for family. So I'm so glad that, you're all the way up in New York, but you had HomeInstead and they did care for
Mhm.
your mom and you knew that to your soul. And that's why you're helping them out now,
That's
which
right.
is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's
Is there
wonderful.
is there anything that I mean, you touched a little bit on some cool perks of a home instead and what your values are. Is there anything maybe someone who is starting to look into these things for their family members, is there anything you think they should know of how they can research or how they can learn that home instead is the best option for their family?
Sure. So basically, how it works for us, I mean, most people will call into the main office or they can look online, they can go on Facebook. As long as they punch in home instead, wherever they're in, if they're in Jacksonville, St. Augustine, or even Palm Coast, they will get someone. It's a 24-hour business. The other thing is we do personal care as well as companionship. So we do both. And again, we entrust our caregivers, we actually train them. So we know what we're giving that person that might be alone, has their family up north, that they don't have to worry about who's coming in and out of their home to give the care that they need. And again, it's also we give care people who are actually caregivers a break as well. So, and I can attest to that because my husband has Parkinson's. So again, I'm the main source for him. And there'll come a time when I'm going to probably need some respite as well. So again, HomeInstead is there to help. So I can't say enough about it. It's just a great company. It's been around a long time and it's nationwide. So it's something to be said about that.
That's so beautiful. I really love that. Like I said, I used to take care and you need that assistant, there's always someone who had to be during the last few years of her life. There was always someone who had to be home with her. And just making sure, we didn't have to do a lot. We just had to make sure, she's staying away from the stove. She loves to cook. She
Oh,
loved to cook. And we're like, okay, you can cook, but like you gotta turn off the stove.
yes,
So it's just things like that.
yes,
That home instead can help out with and just making sure they're that extra pair of eyes and that comfort for that.
absolutely.
Well, Kathleen, you're always out and about. I feel like I've seen you at like most events, and I think that's an amazing test to your energy to be able to talk to some people, many people for so long. Um, but what are some of the recommendations would you have for us, newer people of Flagler? Maybe places to go, groups we can join, anywhere to kind of get more active with the community.
Sure. And, again, because of the way it's growing here in Flagler County, it's important that we try to get out there and mingle with a lot of these networking places because, again, we want to also support our community and especially our small businesses. And again, I'm on the board of the Professional Women of Flagler County. I also am on the board of the Flagler Palm Coast Parkinson Support Group. I go to a lot of networking things. I make sure that I try. It's difficult, but you do manage. I always say to people, the best way to network is once you're at these places, it's always good to meet with different people. I know we have a tendency to want to always say stay with our own crowd, but we really need to branch out. And I think that's important because I'm a big resource for people that live here in Flagler County. People will call me not just about home instead, just about anything else in general. Like, do you know somebody that could help and fix a screen in my house or plumbing or a real estate agent? And because I go to all these networking groups, I can actually help them. And because I know the people and I make it my business to know them. And it's important. It's important to help the community. I feel people still don't realize, even though it's big Flagler County, it really isn't. So we need to support each other. So there's so many out there. I can't even mention all of them. It's so many.
Right.
Um, but just like people like you, I meet you and I hear that you have this podcast. I'm like, you know what? I need to be part of that and let other people know what you have to offer.
Yeah.
And it's just to get people to know people and it, you know, again, it's helpful for me and it's helpful for somebody else that might
Yeah.
not be able to, you know, do the same thing. So it gets them to get out there
Right.
and you're the people. So
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I've had, what are we at? 120 or so episodes, right?
sure.
And you'd think, oh
Amazing.
my gosh, oh, thank you. There's a lot of people, but I still go to so many networking events and I don't know like 75% of the room, right?
Sure.
I have never maybe even heard of them and maybe they've never heard of me. So, I think a lot of people talk about how close and small Palm Coast is, and it's true, but it is still very big
Correct.
because there's also a lot of
Growing by the
people.
moment.
Exactly. And there's still people who come from like Volusia or they come from St. John's
Correct.
and they come to our events as well. So never think like, oh, I know everyone in town. Probably don't. And that's a great thing. You should always want to talk to people and just get to know people. Even if,
Correct.
like you have HomeInstead, maybe I directly can't give you business right now, or maybe I don't even know someone directly who can give you business. But having that connection and being connected with other people, you never know when someone's name might come up. And it's a really beautiful thing just to have people, great people like this community close knit is really fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Kathleen, thank you so much for coming on and sharing a few minutes of your time. It's such a pleasure to talk to you. I feel like my day's made. I have another energy boost, like, all right, I can keep going for the rest of the day.
Oh,
Um, is there any last thing you'd kind of like to throw out there before we wrap it up?
no, I'm just so thankful that I got to meet you. And this is wonderful what you're
Thank
doing. I think
you.
it's great. And I only wish more success for you for
Thank
sure. I have
you.
so many people I'm already thinking about that could
Very
definitely
good.
can meet with. So
I'm
I
looking
look
forward to
forward.
it.
Yep.
Thank you. Me too. Well, thank you again, Kathleen, for the time today. I really appreciate it. And for everyone listening, thank you so much. I appreciate you as well. And I will see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.